goddamn fucking... This whole goddamn place at Misty Firs Apartments is filled with sting operatives. Almost all the apartments surrounding my apartment here is filled with sting operatives. These people are guilty of homicides. They're using goddamn fucking sting tactics to target and frame people. My daughter is one of these people. The Multnomah County fucking pedophile sheriffs and the Portland pedophile police department are a bunch of goddamn fucking womanizers, and they're a bunch of goddamn poisoners, and they have a history of using doubles and photogenic photos to frame people. The Portland Police Department have the surrounding apartments surrounding mine. They have this apartment next door. They have that apartment next door. They have the apartment directly below mine. When I first moved into this apartment building, the apartment manager lived over there in the other building on the other side of the courtyard. Well, after the Portland Police Department took over the surrounding apartments surrounding mine, the apartment manager joined in on this sting operation and moved from that building to this building, and she moved into the apartment right next door to the apartment that's directly below mine. Now, I already have video of Portland cops in plain clothing wearing Portland police jackets coming from the apartment directly below mine. And they were deliberately and intentionally pounding on my wall in this area, but from the apartment directly below mine. Which it would amount to them being in the apartment below mine, hitting the wall up there, like that, way to hell up there, you know, where the ceiling area is. Because the pounding noise was coming right there from my wall right here, right next to my fridge that's sitting right here. When they were deliberately and intentionally harassing and provoking by pounding and shit like that on the walls and stuff, in a manner that's not consistent with, you know, hammering a nail with a hammer or something. It's more consistent with somebody taking their fist like that and then going up to the wall like this and just going bam, 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 bam like that, and then they stop. And then after that, they exited the apartment from down below. They exited the apartment and went out the door. And I was recording the fact with my cell phone, just like I'm recording right now. I was recording the fact that they did that noise. And I could hear the people. I knew the noise came from the people from the apartment down below. And right after they did that, I could hear the people in the apartment down below opening their door to go out of the apartment. So I got up from my chair and went to the window and caught on video the fact that there was a male and a female that was in the apartment directly below mine, and that these people are police sting operatives. The guy is definitely a Portland police officer, but he was wearing plain clothing, not a uniform. He's wearing plain clothing, and he's wearing a Portland police jacket. And him and this lady was getting into a pickup truck that they had parked in the parking lot right out here. This was it's the Portland Police Department's way of making it known they have their targets surrounded, and they like to terrorize their victims. Police sting operatives will intentionally take over the apartment to your left and to your right, and if there's any apartments below you, they'll take over that apartment. If there's apartments above you, well, then they'll take over those apartments too. And then they will deliberately and intentionally make it known that they have you surrounded by tactics similar to what I just described when they were pounding on that wall there. They do that for the purpose of terrorizing their victims. Because think about it, most people know nothing about sting operations, and most people are unaware that law enforcement is corrupt and use sting tactics to frame people and or to murder people. Most people are unaware of this, and they intentionally make it known to their targets that there is nobody that their targets can call that will help. This is not an investigation on their part. This is a murder conspiracy. These people are guilty of murders. My wife was having sexual relations with people in law enforcement when she was working at the Multnomah County Jail kitchen as a prep cook. My wife and her fuck buddies in law enforcement decided they were going to get rid of me by framing me as a pedo. And my wife had everybody on her side of the family on her side. And they were literally using sting tactics to frame me as a pedophile. And they were trying to hide it from me, but I uncovered this fact. And I basically uncovered this fact the day they executed the plan to do it. And they didn't know that I found out about it. Quite literally, the very day the county sheriffs made the decision they were going to frame me as a pedo is the same day they told my wife, Joan Wager, to quit her job at the Multnomah County Jail kitchen to conceal her connections with law enforcement. And the same day the county sheriffs filled out paperwork to take over the surrounding apartments surrounding mine. And on that same day, they made arrangements to bring in somebody they could use as a photo double. Now, this was quite literally the very... Fuck you, motherfucker. Hit the wall again, pedo cop. Son of a bitch. That is quite literally the beginning stages of a sting operation by the Portland Police and by the Multnomah County Sheriffs. And they're targeting me not because I'm some sort of a bad guy. They're targeting me because they were having sexual relations with my wife. They recruited my wife into their illegal criminal activities. She was recruited into their clique of friends, so to speak. Law enforcement became a part of her clique of friends. So it was personal for them to fuck me over, and they wanted to get rid of me by destroying my name and reputation before they murdered me off. They had no intention of giving me a trial. They wanted to frame me, make me look like a bad guy, destroy my name and reputation, and then they were just going to murder me. Now, I've literally just identified the very beginning stages of that specific sting operation. Now, I had prior knowledge that the Multnomah County Sheriffs, back in the 70s, used doubles and photogenic photos to frame people as pedos. I witnessed the Multnomah County Sheriff and the Dunham's family framing a neighbor as a pedo in 1971. I was only 6 years old when I witnessed them committing these crimes. Over the years, I have been a target ever since by the Multnomah County Sheriffs and by the Dunham family, because I happen to be a witness to the fact that they do this to people. Now, keep in mind, the vast majority of people that are framed as pedophiles by the law enforcement are never given trials. They're just publicly vilified, and then they usually get murdered off. And law enforcement usually covers it up by claiming the person committed suicide. Oh my God. They're fucking murderers! I can call 911 right now. That'll get police to my door. It'll get grinning, smirking fucking cops to my fucking door, but they won't take a fucking complaint. These sting operatives that are surrounding my apartment These people are guilty of a multitude of murders. They use sting tactics to commit the murders, the crimes that they commit. They quite literally surround their victims. They use sting tactics to do that. The Portland Police and the Multnomah County Sheriffs will quite literally, if their target lives at an apartment building, then the Portland Police and County Sheriffs will quite literally contact the apartment manager or the landlord and inform them they're taking over the entire building and that's a sting operation, and that they inform the apartment managers and or landlords, and the apartment managers and or landlords cooperate with these illegal operations by law enforcement. Once law enforcement has their target completely surrounded by a combination of their undercover officers and by their civilian buddies and relatives and girlfriends that join in on sting operations for law enforcement, once they have their target surrounded, they start staging and committing all the crimes near where their target lives for the purpose of giving blame and framing their target for the crimes. And the Portland Police and the Multnomah County Sheriffs almost always select people from their own ranks to use as a photo double. And they'll literally, that person will literally dress up just like their target and will impersonate their target near where their target lives. Like I said, they have this apartment right next door to me here. They have the apartment next door to me here. They have the apartment next door to me here. Anytime the Portland Police wants to, they can have a goddamn pedophile cop dress up like me and hang out in front of my apartment and act like a fucking pedophile. And they'll take his partners will take side shots or back shots or something like that of the person while the person's acting like a criminal. And they do this with the intent of framing their targets. Everybody knows in drug busting operations, law enforcement is already known to take over entire apartment buildings for the purpose of staging their operations. In a drug busting, everybody already knows cops and county sheriffs do this. Well, county sheriffs and cops also take over entire apartment buildings in order to surround their targets so that they can stage and commit crimes near where their target lives using doubles. Everybody's familiar with a drug busting. Everybody knows law enforcement will take over entire houses or entire apartment buildings in a drug busting. Everybody knows in a drug bustings, cops will dress up and act like a fucking criminal. They will dress up and act like a drug dealer. And they'll pretend to be a drug dealer for video surveillance. And they do all this area takeover and dressing up and performing for video surveillance for the purpose of framing and entrapping anybody they communicate with. Now, everybody's already familiar with that. Well, police and county sheriffs use the same fucking tactics when they're framing innocent people for other crimes. Since they wanted to frame me as a pedo, what the county sheriffs and Portland Police did was, well, they do what they do in a drug busting. They took over the entire apartment building here. They have control of this whole building. They have probably around half of that building on the other side of the courtyard. They probably have about a third of that building back there under their control. They pretty much have taken at least half of everybody here right now, currently at Misty Furs Apartments, is sting operatives. The majority of the sting operatives are civilian. There are some here that are actual undercover cops. Those are the ones that are actual undercover cops are usually right next door to their target. the actual cops or county sheriff officers with the guns and the badges, they're the ones that are usually directly below the apartment, or directly above their target's apartment, or directly right alongside of their target's apartment. Those are the ones that are the actual law officers. Pretty much all the rest of the sting operatives are usually people that are buddies or relatives or girlfriends of people in law enforcement. In other words, people that will lie for the law enforcement officers that are surrounding my apartment. And since they're framing me as a pedo, this is not a drug busting. They're trying to frame me for their crimes, and they're trying to frame me as a pedo. So instead of dressing up and acting like a drug dealer so that they could frame somebody as a drug buyer, they're not doing that. Instead, they're dressing up. They're using somebody that resembles me, somebody that they could use as a double, and then the person dresses up just like me, and then they take photogenic photos like side shots and back shots, or they'll take fuzzy video footage from a distance of the double, staging and or committing crimes. And of course, the person will, the double that they're using is not dressing up like a drug dealer. The person's just dressing up like me. So they're trying to make me look like a bad guy by having a cop act as a fucking double, and then they just stage and commit crimes near where I live. Now, technically, based on the tactics they're using, the only way to define this kind of a tactic is to refer to it as a sting operation. Because you can easily compare this to a drug bust sting, because law enforcement pretty much does practically the same damn thing. They take full control of the entire area and fill that area with their operatives, a combo of their undercover officers and their civilian operatives that will lie for them. And then they perform for video surveillance and or for photogenic photo purposes, and they'll dress up and act like a criminal. Everybody knows law enforcement does that in drug busting operations. Well, when law enforcement is framing an innocent person as a pedophile, they use the exact same tactics, only they'll select one of their officers, they'll select somebody from their own ranks that closely resembles their target. Doesn't have to be an exact twin, just somebody that from a distance looks like me, especially if the person dyes their hair blonde like mine, or has their hair cut like mine, and they dress up like me. Then it's just a matter of them staging crimes, and then they get video from a distance, or side shot photogenic photos, or back shot photogenic photos of the double acting like a criminal. And this is how they do it. That's generally how they do it. And this quite literally is a sting op. But it's not a sting op where they're the good guys and they're going after bad guys. It's a sting op where they all are the bad guys, and they're working as a team in order to fabricate evidence to make their target look like a bad guy. And there's really not much of a difference between a drug busting operation or any other sting operation, because they all pretty much use the same tactics. They surround the area. They take over the area via sheer numbers. They surround their targets with their operatives, people that will lie for law enforcement and will testify against their target. That's the type of people that police sting operations surround their targets with. Once they have their target surrounded, then the sting ops just start staging and faking and or committing real crimes with the intent of framing, blaming, and vilifying their target over. Now, they already know that I'm aware that they were doing this to me. They already know that I know I'm surrounded by them. This is a situation where they don't have, is no intent on their part, none, zero intent on their part to have a trial over anything. They want me to get the blame for their shit, and then they just want to murder me. And they have been repeatedly trying to provoke me into acting in self-defense. And the moment I act in self-defense, that's when they intend on opening fire on me. It's like being encircled. The best way to describe it is it's like being encircled by several bullies that are pushing and shoving me and grinning and laughing about it and taunting me while they push and shove me. And the moment I try to push back in self-defense, that's the moment they pull out their guns and open fire, and then they claim self-defense and justification publicly, and then they'll use video surveillance of not them provoking me and bullying me and ganging up on me. They'll only show a very brief video clip of me fighting back. So, of course, that video clip will not give people the impression that I'm fighting back. It'll just make me look violent, and they'll use that as their justification to kill. So that's the only way I can compare this sting operation. It's like they're literally, these are organized killers. They've surrounded my apartment. They've used their police powers to take over surrounding apartments. They're deliberately harassing and provoking and terrorizing with the intent of trying to get me to fight back, because they want to make me look angry and violent for their video surveillance, and they have every intention of just opening fire the moment I act in self-defense, which is why they keep provoking. My daughter, Shawna Wagar, is involved in this. Every fucking time she comes out of her room, or she to get something to eat, or to nuke something in the microwave, or when she comes home from work and she heads into her room, every fucking time she whispers a death threat at me. She's essentially taunting me by whispering. She's not hiding the fact that she's involved. She's not hiding the fact from me that she's guilty. She's deliberately and intentionally admitting under her breath to her guilt as a way of provoking. She wants me to fight back because her fuck buddies law enforcement have this entire apartment under illegal video surveillance, and she's trying to provoke me for that video surveillance. She's deliberately and intentionally admitting. And she's doing it in a way that's very difficult for me to prove because she's whispering it. She's not looking me in the face when she does it. She'll come out from her room, she'll start heading towards the microwave, and as she passes right through here, or as she gets to the microwave, then she'll whisper out a death threat at me. And then she'll just, after she nukes her food, she just walks back and she'll whisper a death threat again as she's heading back to her room. So she's admitting to her guilt in passing. And she's doing it that way because she wants me to know she's guilty. She's trying to provoke me into acting in self-defense. They already have me surrounded. With the Portland Police Department already has my apartment surrounded. So, and they already know that I know they have me under illegal video surveillance. So what she's trying to do, she's not hiding her guilt at all. She's deliberately provoking with the intent of wanting me to get out of this chair and try to fight back. And that's what she wants me to do. She's deliberately and intentionally wanting me and trying to force me into acting in self-defense. And she's doing this because the moment if I act in self-defense, then they'll have it on video surveillance. Her fuck buddies in the police department and the county sheriffs will have it on their illegal video surveillance. And that's when the police and or county sheriff will just kick the door down immediately, and they'll just open fire on me. And then they'll use that very brief clip of me getting out of my chair and attempting to fight back. They'll use that very brief clip as their justification in killing me. To be surrounded by sting operatives is to be surrounded by murderers that deliberately and intentionally taunt and flaunt their guilt to their victim, because they're trying to provoke their victim into fighting back so that they can get that mere act on their own video surveillance, because they use that type of an act as their justification for killing. She's deliberately and intentionally admitting to my presence. And each and every time, she won't face me when she does it. She won't stop and look at me, and she won't say it in a normal voice, like I'm saying right now. She'll whisper it, and she won't look at me. She'll just head straight to the room. The reason why is because she's performing for video surveillance. She's trying to pretend. She's pretending she's not a violent person. She's pretending she's just a sweet, innocent little nobody that's doing nothing wrong, that's doing nothing more than going to the microwave, nuking food, and then going back to her room. That is the impression she's trying to give for the video surveillance. But she wants me to fight back, so she's deliberately and intentionally admitting under her breath to their guilt. She's admitting they're going to kill me. She's admitting they're the ones that poisoned me, and that there's nobody. She's flaunting it. She's literally admitting under her breath. She's saying under her breath. She'll come out of her room and she'll walk past her. She'll say, "You're dead. You're dead." And shit like this. And she says it just loud enough for me to hear it. So she intentionally wants me to know she's guilty. And she's intentionally trying to provoke me into acting in self-defense. Now, this is premeditated murder. Her fuck buddies in law enforcement are illegally recording me in his apartment. They have the surrounding apartment surrounding mine. Shawna is involved in this murder conspiracy of theirs, and she's deliberately admitting to her guilt in my presence, wanting me to get out of this chair to fight back. This is what a fucking sting-off is. It's just a bunch of goddamn organized killers that just don't give a shit. They constantly provoke. They constantly provoke. They constantly perform for video surveillance. They constantly perform for video surveillance. They try to get their victim to fight back. The moment their victim fights back, they pull out their guns and go blam. And then they fake justification. That's a sting operation for you, people.